A warm summer evening in South Bend, Indiana. The sound of cards shuffling echoes from a basement where a family enjoys a casual game. Upstairs, in the stillness of an empty room, blood seeps into the carpet. The life of a 49-year-old career soldier slowly fading away. But here's the twist that'll make your skin crawl. His teenage son, who was presumed dead for months, suddenly appears alive just days after the murder. Talk about family reunions gone wrong. Hey there, true crime enthusiasts. If you're already intrigued by this bizarre tale, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. The year was 1965, and the story I'm about to tell you involves a fake drowning, a brutal murder, and a confession that would turn this case on its head. And believe me, nothing is as it seems. Let's rewind to June 3rd, 1965. The serene shores of Warren Dunes State Park would become the stage for an elaborate hoax. 18-year-old Scott Banish left his personal belongings scattered along the beach. A wallet, some clothes, and a note. The message was clear: another tragic drowning in Lake Michigan. Search parties combed the waters for days. Divers battled the currents, looking for a body that wasn't there. Scott's father, Edward Banish, mourned the loss of his son. Little did he know, this was just the beginning of a nightmare that would end with his own death. Before we dive deeper into this twisted tale, if you're enjoying this video so far, consider giving it a quick like. It really helps the channel. And trust me, you'll want to stick around for what happens next. Scott Banish wasn't dead. Far from it. While his family grieved, he had embarked on a cross-country journey that would later become crucial to this story. But why? What would drive a teenager to fake his own death and abandon his family? The answer to that question became infinitely more complicated on August 22nd, 1965. As family members dealt cards in the basement of the Banish home, someone crept upstairs. Someone with murderous intentions. Someone who knew exactly where to find Edward Banish. You know what's funny in a not-so-funny way? While investigators were still trying to solve the mystery of a supposedly drowned teenager, they suddenly had a very real body on their hands. If you think this story is wild already, hold on to your seats. We're about to dive into the investigation that would shock an entire community. But first, I'd love to hear your theories in the comments below. Who do you think killed Edward Banish? And more importantly, what really happened to Scott? When we return, we'll explore the bloody evidence that led police to make a shocking arrest, and the twist that nobody saw coming. The murder scene at the Banish residence was brutal. Edward Banish had been stabbed multiple times, his body discovered by family members who had been just one floor below, completely unaware of the horror unfolding above them. The killer had struck with precision, choosing a moment when the card game in the basement provided the perfect cover. If you're invested in this mystery, take a quick second to hit that like button. Your support helps us bring more chilling true crime stories to light. Now, imagine being the detective assigned to this case. You have a murder victim whose presumed dead son had mysteriously vanished 2 months earlier. Was it just a coincidence? In true crime, we know there's rarely such thing as coincidence. But here's where our story takes its most bizarre turn yet. On August 31st, 1965, just 9 days after Edward Banish's murder, guess who shows up at an Army recruiting office in Fort Wayne, Indiana? None other than the drowned Scott Banish, very much alive and apparently trying to enlist in the military. Talk about terrible timing. The police couldn't believe their luck. Here was their prime suspect, practically gift-wrapped and delivered to their doorstep. And when they brought Scott in for questioning, something extraordinary happened. He confessed to the murder. Before we continue with what happened next, if you're enjoying this deep dive into one of Indiana's most puzzling cold cases, make sure you're subscribed. You won't want to miss the shocking conclusion. The case seemed wrapped up. They had their killer, they had a confession, and they even had physical evidence. Blood on Scott's jeans that matched his father's blood type. It was an open and shut case. Or was it? Because here's where things get really interesting. Scott quickly recanted his confession, claiming he had been coerced. He insisted he was thousands of miles away when the murder occurred, specifically on a tuna boat over 2,500 miles from the crime scene. I know what you're thinking. A tuna boat? Really? That's the best alibi he could come up with. Well, hold that thought. To everyone's astonishment, a tuna boat captain came forward to corroborate Scott's story. Not only that, but multiple witnesses confirmed seeing Scott on that boat at the time of the murder. The seemingly perfect case was starting to unravel. If you figured out where this is going, drop a fish in the comments below. And if you haven't already, smash that like button. The conclusion to this story is absolutely mind-blowing. Despite having Scott's confession and the blood evidence, prosecutors faced a major problem. The grand jury made a decision that shocked everyone. They ruled there wasn't enough evidence to indict Scott Banish for his father's murder. All that evidence and still no case. Let's break down why. First, there was that pesky alibi. Not only did the tuna boat captain testify, but multiple crew members confirmed Scott's presence 2,500 miles away from the crime scene. The confession? Well, Scott's claims of coercion raised serious doubts about its validity. If you're as invested in this case as I am, hit that subscribe button now. We're about to dive into some details that'll make you question everything you thought you knew about this case. The aftermath of the case is equally fascinating. Scott Banish, now cleared of his father's murder, didn't just walk away quietly. He sued the sheriff's department for false arrest and imprisonment. But here's the kicker. He didn't win. The court found that given the evidence available at the time, there was probable cause for his arrest. Sometimes the truth is stranger than any fiction we could imagine. Scott went on to live a remarkably ordinary life after the case. He worked at Northern Illinois University and served on the DeKalb Public Library Board. No more fake drownings, no more cross-country adventures. Just a quiet existence until his death in 2015. One last time, if you've enjoyed unraveling this mystery with me, please hit that like button and subscribe. Your support means everything to this channel. But here's the most unsettling part of this entire story. Edward Banish's killer is still out there, or at least they were. 50-plus years have passed, and while the St. Joseph County Metro Homicide Unit has solved 23 other cold cases, this one remains stubbornly unsolved. Think about it. Someone walked into that house, knew exactly where to find Edward Banish, committed murder while a family played cards below, and vanished into thin air. They've carried that secret for over half a century. So what really happened on that August night in 1965? Was Scott's elaborate drowning hoax truly unrelated to his father's murder? Did someone take advantage of Scott's disappearance to commit the perfect crime? Or is there more to this story that we'll never know? In the end, perhaps the most terrifying part of true crime isn't the violence or the mystery. It's the possibility that some questions will remain forever unanswered. Leave your theories in the comments below. And if you want more unsolved mysteries like this one, you know what to do. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join me next time as we explore another case that will keep you up at night. Stay safe, true crime fanatics. Sometimes the people closest to us hold the darkest secrets.